Assalamu alaikum and welcome all of you back to Thursday Thoughts on a Friday morning, mashallah. And with me today is Coach Yusra. Hello Yusra, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum, Habibti. I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, thank you. Just so excited to see you. I think, we started a couple of minutes late, you guys. Apologize for that because we were just catching up.
And we just realized how much we have to catch up on. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? We need to catch up after this. So yeah, it's really
we
nice.
actually said we're going to schedule a call after this just to talk to each other. So alhamdulillah, it's been really lovely. Well, I've had a nice summer. What about you? Did you have a nice summer so far, Yusra?
It's lovely. I'm just a bit sad because obviously I'm in Tanzania now, East Africa, and we go back to the UK in 6 weeks. How has it been a year already since I've been here? You know, I've loved every second of it. And yeah, to me, the summer holidays is really just another month because I homeschool my kids. So it isn't any different for me. They're at home anyway, regardless of what time of year it is, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. That's actually what we're going to be talking about in a little while as well. So that's fantastic. And I've got the right person here, everyone. So if you have any questions about looking after your children, working from home, homeschooling them, Coach Yusra is your person. She's also a fantastic health and fitness coach. And you've just completed is it your third master's now? Your
second master's degree.
Yeah. Mashallah. She's done fantastically. You can tell us a little bit about that actually, because that's also people that study from home and look after their kids. And how that went while you were doing that?
Yeah, it was interesting. I had to really, thankfully, while I was doing my master's degree, especially towards the end, the dissertation, which is the hardest part, we had to run my own study. My husband was around, so he was keeping me grounded. He's like, yeah, I'll handle the kids while you do this. So that support system is important. Like, no matter what you're doing, having a support system around you can be really, really important, which of course is something that we can also talk about. Yeah.
Fantastic. Honestly, mashallah. So proud of what you've done. Honestly, mabruk, mashallah. It's I was like, wow, she's done it. I did say to you that time, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing it. And then just went ahead and did it all completely, mashallah. It's fantastic. Now, what we're talking about today, I actually asked in the group yesterday, I asked the parents in the Your Parenting Tribe WhatsApp group. So if you are joined, that's fantastic. If you haven't joined, look in the description box. I'll put the link in so you can join our WhatsApp group where we answer questions randomly as they come up on a time-to-time basis. And one of the questions that came up yesterday was about how to control screen time in the holidays, right? So I think this is quite an important one because in terms of being at home and, you know, you've got like a whole entire day to fill, how do you balance that? What do you think?
I think because here's the thing. When you're at home and you've got stuff to do, it's really easy to just say, okay, you take your tablet and just leave me alone. And kids, subhanAllah, they know. Like the moment I get on a coaching call, that's when my six-year-old's gonna come, Mama, can I use my tablet? Like he knows I'm probably gonna say, yeah, just go, just get up, let me finish this call, right? But here's the thing. I'm not afraid of my kids being bored. I'm okay with them being bored. Right, those boundaries have to be built. It's like, okay, your screen time is between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. and khalas. That doesn't change. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is, right? It doesn't matter how bored you are. And the interesting thing is that when they know screen time is not an option, when that's not a choice outside those dedicated hours, they get creative, Sarah. They really get creative. Do you know what I mean? So having stuff like board games around after their school hours, obviously, because in the morning they have school and all of these things. After school, that's when it's like, okay, I'm home. What can I do now? Usually they want to go on their tablets and computer screens and stuff, right? But if it's no time, what are they going to do between that time? So having things like board games, having conversations with them about life. I have conversations about life with my 6-year-old. And it's really interesting how they see life and view life. It's so cute. But that's where the bonding happens as well. Do you know what I mean? You're in the kitchen, you're cooking, or call them there, talk to them, right? Have conversations with them. A lot of the times we just kind of want to do our own thing, and they do their own thing, right? It may not be helpful, especially if they're at home, right? So having conversation with them, having board games around, allow them to get bored. They'll get creative. They'll find ways. That's what I do with my kids.
Yeah. And I actually think that my kids think that board is spelled BORED for board games, because that's what they do. Yesterday I was just clearing out my bag just randomly, and I realized that 2 of my cards had expired, so I just left them on the table, and Hafsa came up to me and she was like, "Mummy, what are these cards for?" And I said, "Oh, they're expired, I'm just going to chop them up." And I said, "Do you want to cut them for me?" And she said, "No, I've got a better idea." I said, "Okay." So she went to her toy area, pulled out some Shopkins, brought a little basket and a little trolley, and then we were just playing shops with her. And she wanted to use the cards, and she actually said stuff like, one is Halifax and one was Tide. So she was like, "Tell me that you don't accept it, okay?" She was like,
I think that's where the kind of key is, when they know what the boundary is, when they know mommy's buttons cannot be pushed. Because here's another thing: a lot of the times when they come to ask us for stuff, and if we are already frustrated, we just want them out of our way. Go, right? So it really starts with, hey, am I able to stay calm while I'm holding my ground, while I'm keeping these boundaries intact? It really starts with us.
And we have to put those boundaries up. And also, like, sometimes I feel like when I am working and I'm in the middle of something like super important, and I'm like, I just need 5 minutes to finish it, right? And then at that moment, I think it's like the worst time for them to come and say something to me, because I'll just be like, "Listen, like, just literally give me 5 minutes, and when I'm done, I'll do." And then those 5 minutes, I have to fill them in with something, because if I don't, and they go onto the screen and they go onto the phone and whatever, it will take me another half an hour to get them off. You see? So it's really hard sometimes to balance that. How do you kind of work that, like when you just need literally 5 minutes to do something?
I give them the eye. When I was growing up with my mom, every time she looked at you a certain way, you knew what you had to do. You know that eye when you just looks at you. So I just give them the eyes, like, okay, when you're done, I'll come back.
See, what I do is I go and send them on an errand. I'm just like, you know what would really help me is, could you just go and check if the cat's got enough water? Or I'll be like, can you just really help me 1 second? Those shoes, can you put them in size order for me? Like, I'm just trying to find like a random thing that they can do that'll keep them busy for 5 minutes and also keep them out of my way. Because a lot of the time, I try to work during the morning. Somebody asked me yesterday for a quick call. She wanted to ask questions about my course that I'm doing. And I said to her, "Well, the course starts at 9, so I can meet you at 8 o'clock. And she was kind of shocked. She was like, 8 o'clock in the summer holidays, 8 in the morning? And I was like, "Oh, sorry. Like, for me, that time in the morning when I'm awake and they're asleep, like, that is the most easiest time for me to get stuff done." And I'm literally like, I do whatever I need to do, run about, like, so that the morning then goes smoothly. Like, in normal time when I'm working, obviously, and I'll have to be at work in the morning, they'll have to be at school in the morning. So obviously at night time, I'll have to do these things. But at night time, I'm just chilling. It's holiday mode. You know how it is. And I am a late owl anyway, and they're really late too. So they do tend to wake up later in the mornings for me. So I tend to get stuff done in the morning. But it is like, it depends on the family, isn't it? It depends on like what they like doing, and who likes waking up earlier, later, what you do with the routine. Does it change at all, do you think?
In the holidays, they stay up a bit later in the holidays and tend to wake up a bit later, but I think what's helped me is because I've been homeschooling for so long, right? So my kids are used to knowing, okay, this time is mom's study time, is work time, is training time. Like even when I'm training, they kind of do their own thing and they don't come to disturb me. But sometimes they do come, but they kind of they know those boundaries, and I've had to teach them those boundaries. Otherwise, I wouldn't get anything done, Sarah. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't get anything done because I'm literally at home with them 24 hours a day. And it's been like that for years because I've been homeschooling them for such a long time, right? So for me, it's just easier to just look at them and they'll know, yep, I'm interrupting mom. But I had to build that through conversations.
Yeah.
Say, look, we all have our own parts to do. And I understand you need XYZ. Do you know what I mean? If you can't do it if you need something and you can't do it by yourself, go ask your sister. Thankfully, my eldest is almost 16.
Yeah,
Again,
so
she can help out. And so she can help out. So if they need something, right? And if they can't reach me, then they go to her. But again, those boundaries had to be built. Then they know after 5 p.m., I'm all theirs. Right. So I try to not work beyond that time because then, okay, I'm all theirs. Right. But yeah, within this schedules routine, they try their best. They're kids at the end of the day. Right. And if they do interrupt me, it's really important for me and for all of us to stay calm. Right. And explain things calmly. There's no need to yell and shout and all of those things.
And we do tend to yell and shout when we're not satisfied.
Frustrated. Yeah.
Like when we're at that level where it's like, I just need to do whatever it is, or I've just got
just
this.
Let me do this one thing, please.
Without moving the laundry. Like the worst one when you're trying to fold the laundry and then there's a baby like pulling it out on the other side. Like, and the thing is that you've got to like laugh as well, right? Because it is like, so most of the time, you know, when me and my husband first had the old, obviously our older two are now older. They're both adults, mashallah, over 18, but when they were babies, I remember we were talking to each other like, we actually don't need a television. Like, you just watch them and they're just so interesting, so curious. They're looking around, they're picking things up, and you know, like they'll just pick up like a random thing and be playing with it for like 10-15 minutes about something really silly. One of my my brother-in-law was looking after my daughter, and he actually looked after her, and all he was doing, what was it? It was like a play till, and he was opening it and she was closing it, or the other way around. And it was just funny that even now he remembers, and he goes like, she was there for half an hour just doing that. You know, when they're little, they find everything interesting. I think when they get a bit older, it gets a little bit more trickier in terms of like, because they now know better what they want. So it's like, right, this is what I want, Mom, you know, and you're like, well, sorry, that's not what we want as a family. It's not going to happen. How do you find that, like the balance of being their friend and being the strict mom?
For my eldest, again, we try to follow the deen, right, to the best of our ability, of course. So she knows anything outside the deen, mom is going to say no. But at the same time, sometimes we make halal haram, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because even if it's allowed in the deen, but culturally we say no, you can't do that. But is that really fair? Do you know what I mean? So I do my best to say, look, if it's Islamically allowed, even if I don't like it, fine, alhamdulillah, I'll deal with that. So alhamdulillah, we have those conversations, right? Again, we all have our own opinions and our experiences and all of these things, what we want for our kids, what we don't want for our kids. And this is why using the deen as a source of sort of as a thing that kind of molds our behavior becomes easier, because it's one way. It's either right or it's wrong. It's not somebody's opinions or all of these things, right? If it's right, even if I don't like it personally, then she's old enough, sah. So
yeah. And that's I think actually leads into our next question, which was about makeup for girls. Should we allow makeup for girls? The lady that asked this, her daughters are around the ages of 13 to 17. And she's obviously asking in terms of like, should we allow it? You can go first with that one.
I wasn't allowed to wax until I was 22. My legs, yeah. And I remember I waxed my legs when I was at university, and my mom, she didn't know. That's how I was brought up. Like, makeup, forget it. It's a no-no. So if I took it from the cultural perspective, that would be a heck no. Forget that, mate. Do you know what I mean? But again, okay, they're teenagers, they're growing up, and it's okay to want to look a certain way and all of these things. But then again, we're talking about, hey, what are the boundaries of Islam? We know, like, full heavy makeup, like, that's not allowed. That's for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's haram. It's not allowed. Others want to do it, great, but for me, it's not allowed. Now, for her, like I said, she's 16 soon. If she wants something light, like a lip gloss, like an eyeliner a little bit, I'm okay with that. Do you know what I mean? As long as, I mean, I'm not sure about a 13-year-old, to be honest. And I don't know how I would feel about that, because when she was 13, she wasn't into that, right? But now as she's 15 going on 16, a little bit, yeah, I'm okay with that, as long as, again, it doesn't cross the boundaries of Islam.
We have, so obviously you all know that I'm a school teacher. So usually at school, we have this rule of like no makeup, because, you know, once you start allowing like a bit of this and a bit of that, and then they try to push it further and further and further.
Yeah, in school, definitely no. Again, I homeschool them anyway. So the only time she would put a little bit of something is if she's home, or we go to my parents' house, and she's with her cousins or something like that. And by a little bit, I mean a little bit of eyeliner at the bottom lid and a lip gloss. That's as far as it goes, really. When we're talking about blushes and mascaras here, like, none of that stuff. Even I don't wear those things.
So one of the things is that obviously with your parenting tribe, you're going to get lots of coaches, and we all have different opinions. And it's important to know that obviously at the end of the day, you all do what's best for you and your family. Right? You know, like it might, something might work for Yusra's family that might not work for my family, and vice versa, right? So so I'm going to give you a slightly different perspective on this, which I was saying that at school they're not allowed. And what happens is, because they're not allowed, they try to push it further and further. And we found girls that are like not just wearing, you know, like you said, a little bit of eyeliner. And I think that if they had eyeliner or lip gloss or even a bit of like cheek blush, whatever, I think most of the time school would just be fine with it. But what happens is sometimes they come with like very heavy, like loaded, like as though they're going to a wedding or something. You know, and at that point as a school, you kind of go like, wait a second, look, that's a little bit too much. So I think that definitely it starts from home. And I think that because remember what we said about what the kids catch from you. You say that
catch from us. I do say that a lot.
So if you are confident in yourself and you're going out barefaced and you're going out, like for me, Yusra knows I can't do a live without eyeliner. Like usually they'll all be logged on and I'll be like, wait a minute, I'm just doing my eyeliner, you know, because to me that is like important. Like I have to do it. I don't do anything else on my face, like I'm sure you can all tell, right? But the eyeliner, to me, it kind of gives me that confidence to kind of be on a live and be in front of someone. The other day, someone asked me about a homeschooling video and I was sending it to her, and I realized that I didn't have my eyeliner on that day. I don't know what happened. Must have either forgotten or I was sick or something. I don't know. It's something in my head. But obviously I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I look really sick. And I remember, do you remember, Yusra, there was one coaching call I did with you? And you were like, you don't look that good today, what's wrong? And then I just went, wait, and I put my eyeliner, I came back and you were like, oh, it's just that, you know. So I think that sometimes it does enhance, it does help a little bit. But I think like I definitely agree with you, like they don't need it for sure, and their young skin, you want their skin to breathe. And I think if you educate them on the fact that it'll be easier for their skin to breathe, it will be like better for them, it's better for their skin, you know, to not put all of these products on, and obviously explain and say that, look, all of these beauty brands, what do they want to do? They want to basically sell their products.
And change.
Yeah.
They make you think that you're not stunning enough as you are. You need to change yourself to look beautiful, right? Like
exactly. Like, you know, maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline, right? That's what they're trying to say to you. And with what I was trying to say about the products is like nowadays there's cleanser, toner, fixer, this spray, that spray, you know, some kind of greasy thing, whatever it is. Yeah. Okay. So obviously I don't know anything about it, but my point is that sometimes they buy all these products, and what I've had to teach my girls, because again they're a little bit older than Yusra's, is the fact that when you do put these products on, how does your skin react? What happens to your skin? And you notice that the one of my daughters who loves makeup and would like, she literally will sit in front of the mirror, put it all on and take it all off like almost immediately. It's just that she enjoys it, right? Or she walk around with it, and you know, in the house, and or definitely if I go to like a friend or a family's house where we know we're not going to be out in the public eye, like she will wear it and I'll be like, I'm okay, like I just want to wear it, mom, and I'll be like, yeah, that's fine. But if you look at the skin condition between the two girls, one who wears it and one who doesn't, you can see the difference, right? And so now as they're getting older, now mashallah the third one's growing up, she's like, hang on a minute, looking at the two sisters, well actually this one's better, right? She's not getting as many spots, and they actually look like that. So it's kind of like a natural life lesson that if you have got examples in front of you, you can give as well, inshallah. But like I think I wanted to say this about screen time and makeup as well. Sometimes we kind of build these things up in our mind as like this big huge monster, like, you know, oh my god, it's makeup, you know, or oh my god, too much time. And we need and we need to just like step back a little bit from that. What do you think?
We as humans, we don't know the middle ground, and I talk about this a lot. We put ourselves in extremes. It's either absolutely no screen time, like what kind of Muslim are you? Do you know what I mean? Why are you allowing your kids to, like, they're gonna, you know, their brain is gonna shrink, and like no screen time. And on the other end of the extreme, it doesn't matter, come on, they, you know, it's fine or whatever. Where's the middle? Like you're going from 0 to 100. There's like 99 numbers in between. Why don't we play here? Like there's so much, and we see this in nutrition where people are trying to be healthy. Do you know what I mean? The pendulum swings from one end of the extreme to the other, and the other. It's one thing I wanted to say in terms of the kids catching from us is this. Look, I have 2 girls and 2 boys, right? And I homeschool them, and I'm with them 24 hours a day. Alhamdulillah. I love that. I wouldn't change that for the world. But the biggest challenge for me isn't the homeschooling part, because they go to an online school. Jinan goes to online school. You're teaching her, right? My other kids, they have their own tutors and stuff. For me is those hours that they're awake. What are they catching from me? What am I doing in those hours? How am I talking in those hours? What kind of behaviors am I engaging in those hours? So if I want my girls to feel confident without makeup, to be able to go out without makeup, how can I build the confidence in them if me as a mother, every time I go out, I have a full face on? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't teach them and say, okay, you tell us to be confident without makeup, but how come when you go out you have a full face on? How does that work, right? How can I tell my girls to appreciate their body as a gift from Allah, as a miracle from Allah, while I'm always criticizing it, pinching it, seeing how much body fat it's got, jumping from one that to another? How can I tell my girls to eat healthy because they want energy and all of these things, while all I'm doing is eating ultra processed foods all day? Do you know what I mean? So for me, the hardest part of being a homeschooler isn't so much about the studying. They're going to study, they're going to move on. Is, hey, what kind of behaviors that they're going to build that's actually going to impact their lives?
Yes.
So everything that I do is almost like, okay, when I do this, what are they catching? What are they seeing? And that comes from our conversations with them, the behaviors we engage in, how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to our body, how we talk to people, how we talk about other people. It's a whole different story. They hear, they see, right? That's what they'll catch. I'm sure a lot of us, a lot of the behaviors that we have now, we've learned it from our mothers and our fathers, right? It's natural. If you grow up and you're used to things a certain way, you carry on doing those things the same way, right? And I think as homeschoolers, we are so focused on the education part. Do you know what I mean? The studying part, the giving the like the knowledge is beyond maths and science and English and history. And knowledge is what are you doing at home? What behaviors are you engaging in at home? Because that's what they're catching, and that's what's really going to impact how they grow up as adults and how they handle life.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that actually flows on to the next kind of question, which was about oh, do you know what? It was in my head and I've just absolutely forgotten it. About what they're catching from us, about encouraging your teenagers to pray, right? Encouraging them to pray, right? This is like for me, like it's a non-negotiable, like prayer time is prayer time, end of story. Like there's nothing, like with everything else, I think that I have a degree of flexibility in it. Yeah. But with something like this, like you said, like when you've got it in the deen, it's black and white, like this is not a question, you know what I mean? It's not like something that's debatable, you know, like mortgages or whatever. Sorry, I think they're haram too, but anyway, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Okay, so my point is that in terms of the kids and catching stuff from us, that's what they'll catch from you. Like if they see you go, oh, it's time for Salah now, I've got to go pray, I've got to, like, you know, turn the TV off, or, you know, stop what I'm doing. Like it doesn't matter if I'm in the middle of something and I'm like, right, I've got to go and do this first or that first. Like as long as you're showing that that's what you're doing. And often I will find, and you know, and I'm sure that you guys do as well, like that, especially the younger ones, when I go to the prayer mat, they come with me. They come on the side, they're behind me, they're around me, they're near me. And, you know, and I think I've shared this before on Your Parenting Tribe, but it's just so cute that I can't stop sharing it. But mashallah, Sulaiman actually told Hafsa the story of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he stayed down when his grandsons were on the back. So she like her aim, like when mum goes down, I'm going to go sit on her. Like, you know, she's 7 years old. And, you know,
my 6-year-old, mashallah, I find him praying by himself all the time on his, and he knows, like, is it a 3 or 4 now? I'm like 3 or 4, and then after he's done, he'll go. I'm like, do you know what you're saying? He goes, yeah, I'm saying Subhanallah. I was like, okay, are you gonna say anything else? No, I just like Subhanallah. I'm just gonna say Subhanallah. I was like, okay. So when he's done, like, he doesn't want to say the rest. He's just gonna say his 33 Subhanallah and get up. In short, he's said it. And again, how did he know how to sit after prayers and do this? Because he watches his parents do it, his grandparents do it, his sisters do it. Do you know what I mean? Alhamdulillah. So they do catch that. Yeah.
And they absolutely do. And then there's, you know, like there's certain times of the day when I'm thinking to myself, like, I need to be better. Like when you're talking about eating and, you know, like when you said the extremes of the eating and stuff, and I'll notice like what I'm saying and what are they catching from me? What are they learning from me? You know, that I want them to learn compared to what I don't want them to learn. You know, do I want them to see me go like, oh, it's this time of the month now, I need 13 chocolate bars today. or am I going to be like different, right? And I think that's really important. I think with everyone, but especially with prayer, I think that is so easy that you can just model it for them. And obviously we do talk about this a lot in Your Parenting Tribe, but I think it has way more impact that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing compared to telling them what to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like trying to give them that information, that help by actually just modeling it rather than saying, oh, you need to do this now, you need to do that now, it turns into nagging then, doesn't it? Like, I know you might be surprised about this, but we got back here maybe 2 weeks ago, and one of my daughters, her suitcase is still in her room on the floor with her clothes, like, well, now they just look like a mess, but it was a little bit neater before. But I walk past, it's not my problem, it's nothing to do with me, it's not my room. Close the door and off I go. I'm not going to be stressing about someone's clothes in a room.
Yes.
It's too much for me. I model my good behavior. I've unpacked another 5 suitcases, because the 2 girls did their own, but I've unpacked the 5, and I've unpacked all the hand luggage and everything and got everything out, put it all away. And we've actually, this room that I'm sitting in right now, I don't normally come up here, but it's nice and clean today. So but the thing is that modeling, right, showing and sharing and just being like, oh, have you noticed any differences anywhere, in the house, sort of thing, and eventually I know that she's going to pick it up, I know that she's going to do it, but I'm not going to stand there on her head and be like, right, do it now, do this now. People do that, and then what do they do when they get to their own houses, when they're in their own, like, again, they lose it, don't they? I've seen some of our colleagues that have come here, and the first time they're living alone, and they've left dishes in the sink, and they've not vacuumed, because their whole life they've been nagged to do it.
And here's the thing. You say that about that. I see that in nutrition. Did you know that a lot of disordered eating and eating disorders starts from childhood? Childhood, because as parents we're going, don't eat that, it's going to make you go fat. You have to eat clean, whatever clean means. It makes me so infuriated when I hear people, I'm trying to eat clean. What does that even mean? Like, do you know in studies there's no definition of what eating clean means? Do you know what I mean? So we put labels on these foods, and then we impose those labels on our children. We force them to eat a certain way. And then when they grow up, trust me, if you think they're not eating chocolate, there's chocolate packages under the bedroom, because they're going to eat in secret, right? They're eating in secret because they're scared to be judged. They're scared mom or dad is going to yell at me. And guess what happens when they grow up? They don't eat in front of their coworkers in the office because they're scared to be judged, but they go home in the dark when everybody's asleep and they binge on every box of cookie they can find. Right? So a lot of eating disorders start from childhood, from how we, and again, like you said, it's retaliation, isn't it? When I was growing up, mommy wanted me to do this, I'll show her who's boss. I'm not going to do it now. Right? We adapt behaviors as a way to protect ourselves. So when we are kids, those behaviors can help us get through the phases in life. When we become adults, those behaviors start to harm us. Right? It does really start from childhood. So
no, I definitely agree with that. I know, in fact, someone really close to me always says that the reason I'm so fat is because this happened when I was little. Like that's like their story. And I've tried to, like, obviously through coaching, obviously, that we do coaching and things, and we try to change our story, don't we? And we try to go back and reframe things in a different way, which funnily enough, I have been trying with this particular person, but they continue saying that this is why, because when I was little and it was dinner time, my mum would say to me, wait until everyone's ready to eat, but I wanted to eat when I wanted to eat, so then I would binge on crisps and things, and then when dinner was ready I never used to eat. Like, why didn't mum just let me eat when I was hungry? And I kind of do see their point, but at the same time I also see that as like a bit of a, like, you know, come on, you can now, that happened then, back then, right? But now
here's the interesting thing. I hear what you're saying, but the problem is that when these things happen, we build these identities to define ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And this is just how I do things. It's how I'm used to do things. And our subconscious mind will always revert back to those identities because they mean something. So for someone outside yourself would think, come on, you have the decision. And they absolutely do have the decision. They can make that choice. Yeah. But it's a lot harder because that choice is more than just stopping or not stopping. It's so much deeper because there's emotional attachments on there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's not, they're not really thinking with their brain.
It's not about food. It's that people who are overweight and they're on this dieting roller coaster, Sarah, I can assure you 99% is not because they love food too much. It's what they use food for.
Yes, I agree with you. Know that was true when you worked with me.
Yeah, what do we use food for? And that is dealing with our emotions. When we're bored, when we're angry, when we're happy. Do you know what I mean? We use food for more than physiological needs, and that is okay. But if that's how we treat food all the time, then we get into trouble. Our health starts to be impacted, right? It's beyond just liking a certain, like food addiction is not a thing. People say, I'm addicted to sugar. You're not addicted to sugar, right? It's what you're using sugar for.
That actually goes with what we were talking about when we're homeschooling and the kids are at home all day, and we're trying to get into a routine. We're trying to like get stuff done and, you know, things like that. And then controlling like what they're eating, for example, because again, if they were out of the house, they're at school, for example, there's a set time for eating, isn't it? It's like at 9 o'clock they have a break, and then at whatever 11 o'clock they have another break, and then it's time to come home anyway. So my point is, in terms of how do you model that for them? Like, what do you do when they're at home? Like now in the holidays, they've got access to everything. And some of the mums were saying, like, you know, they're basically eating meat out of house and home, you know. And again, it does, like for me, I kind of do see that it does sometimes come down to they're eating because they're bored.
Yeah. So my kids, I don't have, like, they eat when they're hungry, especially earlier in the day, because we kept the UK routine. They don't really have anything heavy earlier in the day. Usually their dinner time is the heaviest meal, and that's usually the set time where we all would eat together and stuff like that. But earlier in the day, if they want to snack on something, they can snack on something. I don't stop them from eating crisps and cookies and chocolates, but they can't have crisps, cookies, and chocolates on the same day. See the difference there? Yeah. So the balance after, like, look, I don't have a problem with you eating any of those things, but you need to understand balance, and you can't eat them all on the same day. So pick, today is a chocolate cake, fine, but you're not going to have the crisps. Tomorrow is the crisps, absolutely fine. The other day is thin ice cream, it's fine. So it's that the balance that we're talking. Chocolate cake is not bad, crisp is not bad, cake is not bad. How it's going to be bad is if you try to eat all of these things in one day, means you're not going to eat your meals. That's what I have a problem with. So alhamdulillah, I brought, and again, that's how they see me eat as well, Sarah. We're going back to what is mom eating all day. Do you know what I mean? I eat all of those things, but I don't just binge on them all day. There's a balance there. So they know, sometimes they'd come, they're like, I already have my chocolate cake. Can I have a bit of ice cream? I was like, yeah, fine. So they know when they've gone out, they'll come to ask for permission. And when they do, I generally don't say no, because they don't do it all the time. So that understanding, there's no food that is good or bad, but you just need to understand how much to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I generally do is in the holidays, have loads of fruit at home, like whatever you can get, vegetables, fruit, and just cut it and put it there. Like in the morning sometimes.
Yes, right? Yes. Like
if it's out, if it's washed, if it's like ready to eat, they will eat it.
There was a study that was done. You know, I'm a geek when it comes to research studies, right? Mm-hmm. There's a study that was done. They took two groups of people. One group had M&Ms next to them and a bowl of apples further away. Another group had the bowl of apples closer to them and M&Ms further away, right? The group that had the M&Ms closer to them had more M&Ms, less apples. The group that had apples closer to them had more apples, less M&Ms, right? And what this tells us, look, if you want your kids to eat a certain way, reduce the resistance to access to those foods, right? And increase the resistance to access to the foods they want to have less of. So if you don't want them to have chocolates all day, don't keep chocolates in front of them. Keep it further away. If you don't want them to have cookies all day, don't buy a lot of cookies and keep it home. If you want them to have more fruit, like you said, reduce the resistance of them eating fruits. Cut them up. Put them in front of them. They walk past
they will eat it.
Yeah, they will eat it. Yeah.
You know, there could be like a full watermelon, let's say like on the table downstairs. If I literally got the watermelon and put it on the table, they're not going to touch it. But if you've just cut it up, put it in a plate, put some forks next to it, and they won't eat it all in one go as well, by the way. They'll eat a little bit, then they'll walk around, they'll do something else, they'll come back, they'll have a little bit more. It might take like an hour to finish it.
The same way, if that watermelon was replaced by a box of cookies, it would have been the same thing.
Yeah.
They walk past, they grab the cookie, they go here, they grab another one. It's the same thing. It just depends on, okay, what is on the plate? Because whatever that's on the plate, that's what they're going to snack.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is that they do like I think that the kids do kind of in a way crave like those vitamins and minerals that they need. And then what they're doing is when they're eating all these extra things like the more crisp or whatever, they're actually looking for these vitamins. And what I've noticed is when I do put the veg there, they'll eat that, like the carrots and the cucumbers especially. That's like a main one here. But then I feel like they don't want a snack anymore because they've got there what they need. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not as interested in snacks then because they've got this kind of thing going on. Alhamdulillah. So we talked a little bit about homeschooling, mashallah. We talked a little bit about screen time. We talked a little bit about makeup, mashallah. Just before we go, how do you feel about working from home and homeschooling?
Now, for the mothers who are thinking about homeschooling and but they're concerned and all of these things, here's my advice as someone who's been homeschooling for a long time. Not only am I working from home, I was also studying. And I'm like, my daughter, she goes, I'm like, I completed my master's. She goes, yay. So what's next? She's like, she knows I'm going to enroll into like, okay, what are you enrolling in next? Because look, for me, when they see their mom being able to do all of this, because sometimes we think, especially culturally, right? We think a woman's place is just to cook and clean and khalas, pop out babies. And those are important roles. I'm not trying to demean those roles. Those are important roles. But we can do so much more if we want to do so much more. It doesn't stop us. Being at home doesn't stop us from doing all of those things. So for me, modeling that to my girls is important, right? So what has really helped me, because I was studying and I'm working on all of these things, I was concerned about compromising my kids' education. Because I'm one person, Sarah. I'm not going to homeschool, clean the house, cook, study, work. Like something is going to drop. Do you know what I mean? I have a husband that I want to spend time with in all of these things. Something is going to drop. So what I did earlier on, I enrolled Jinan into an online school. Because she's the eldest, is a 6-year gap between my first two, right? Enrolled her into an online school so that I knew, okay, that part is taken care of. That you're teaching her. Because look, I'm not a teacher and I don't have the patience to be a teacher. I don't know how you do it, subhanAllah. So I knew where my limitations were. I'm very aware of my limitations, right? Because I knew if I was going to be frustrated teaching them, that's going to impact our relationship somehow. That's going to impact my ability to do all these other things. So I assign those roles to the people who do that the best, people who are educated, who are skilled in that. So while my kids I started them by myself early on, I soon realized that, yeah, this is hard work. It requires more than just knowledge. I've got 3 degrees, alhamdulillah. I don't lack knowledge, but it's the patience that I lack when it comes to teaching them. So they all have private tutors. So what that gives me is, number one, the confidence that their education is taken care of. Second, I'm close with their teachers. Like, you give me feedback on Jinan all the time. Teacher Aya gives me feedback on the kids all the time. So that relationship is there. I know what they're learning, what stage they're in. And thirdly, they're with me at home. I know their environment, right?
Yeah.
So my job is to be their mom, to
Yeah.
model all these behaviors that I want them to catch from me and to learn from me, right? And just watch them grow. So if you're someone who's working and who's thinking about homeschooling, my advice is, if you can, let the teachers do their thing. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Give like, outsource those jobs to experts. Like, even at work, I have a master's in computer design, so like website and all those things, but I did not design my website. I hired a website designer to do that because that is not my expertise. I have a master's in it, but I didn't really practice it. I haven't practiced for over 10 years. It would take me so much longer to design a website when an expert could do a better job. So why would I do that? Do you know what I mean? So be okay to give control out in areas that you feel are challenging you, so that you can focus on the areas that you can really excel in and be good at. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does make sense. And I think, like, because you know that I'm teaching a lot of the stay-at-home moms now to be virtual
Yes,
assistants.
yes.
You know, and when I teach them, one of the things that I'm talking about is that the work-life balance. And in
Yeah.
terms of, like, for myself, you're right. Like, some people say to me, like, how are you able to go on WhatsApp and reply to us and, you know, go on YouTube and do this and do this? And for me, I have outsourced the education again because they're in a community school, and I've also outsourced the cleaning and the, you know, like getting all of the cleaning done. Like, that to me is a direct result of me being able to work online. Like, I know that in my husband's budget, that wasn't there. Like, he's not going to have that in his budget. He's not going to be like, oh yeah, you also need a cleaner, you know, like, he's going to think about me in terms of that, you know. He does. And I'm not going to lie, he's very helpful around the house, mashallah, recently especially. I don't know why, but anyway. But the point is that in terms of getting stuff done, like I just said to you, like, it just makes more sense to me. Like, I can sit and teach a class and earn the money that it takes to pay my cleaner for a whole day, right? And I can teach a class for an hour and I've got enough money to pay her for a whole day. And that's what the difference is. It's like what you said, like exchanging the money. What is it worth, right? Like, what is that money worth to you? You could be sitting there saying, oh, I'll teach the class and I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do that, but you won't do any of that really well.
Something is going to drop, right? Like, a ball is going to drop. And often, you know what, Sarah, the ball that drops is our health. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It's our health. We put in the back burner because we are so busy doing all of these things. Do you know what I mean? Because it feels like we have to do all the things. We are women. No, we're not machines.
No.
Do you know what I mean? By doing all those things, we're not helping ourselves.
No.
Right.
And what I've noticed, because, you know, I've just come back from the UK, and I feel like people wear it like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
That they do everything themselves. And I'm like, guys, what are you proud of? Like, what are you actually proud of? Like, wouldn't it be better if you just saved up 200 quid and bought yourself a dishwasher, rather than saying,
I was telling my husband, you know what? Because the house we're going to move into, alhamdulillah, is quite big. I'm like, look, I'm not doing hoovering every day. We're buying those robotic hoovers. And they're doing that. I'm not doing that. Yeah, like, it's absolutely key. This idea where we try to hold on to money. You can always make more money, but we can't buy more time. You can't buy your health back when you lose it. Like, one of the reasons I dropped out from my IT job that was paying me very, very well, alhamdulillah, because I was losing time with my kid, losing time with my husband. I come home, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. Do you know what I mean? that wasn't what I wanted for my life. But when I moved to work online, subhanAllah, the freedom, because I was the boss, I could manage my time. I could decide who I want to work with, who I'd like. You worked with me. How accessible was I in the group? I was there because I can be there.
Yeah. All the time, mashallah. And that's the beauty of being able to choose who you want to work with.
Yes.
Because there are some people in your life, like I know now, going back to, you know, because obviously I went back to school the last couple of terms to just cover up for a teacher that had gone on maternity leave. But anyway, the point is, when I got back, I started seeing people and going like, wait a second, like when I'm at home, I choose who I want to work with. I choose who I want to have a conversation with. Someone can ask to talk to me and I can literally say, I'm sorry, I'm busy. But when you're at school, they can see whether you're busy or not. They can't, you know, and they'll just walk in and they'll just take up, like, you know, it is difficult to be outside as well. And it's also difficult to be inside working as well. It's not like any of them are easier. But the point is, that when you're at home, you can choose who you want to work for, choose your hours, choose your work. People say to you, like you just said about the website, even though you know how to do it, you're like, no, I'm all right. I don't want to do that. I'd rather do coaching and pay someone to do the website. And that's the difference, isn't it, when you're working from home in terms of that, like your choice that you have. And in terms of like what I used to find the most difficult when my child was sick and I had to leave a sick child at home and go to work. Like that used to rip my heart out every time I had to do it.
Yeah. Or,
you know, yeah, it's so hard.
Or when they call you at 12 p.m. and you're at work and they're like, yeah, she's gone to the toilet and she doesn't want anybody to clean her up. And she's like a 3-year-old. It's like, oh no, now it's not like my husband is gonna leave work and go to her. I had to now go on trains and figure out and ask my boss for, like, it was so hard, Sarah.
Yeah.
It was so hard. And I'm someone who was educated internationally. I'm born in Tanzania. My dad paid international fees to educate me in England.
Yeah.
Right. So after studying for 4 years, getting a bachelor's, getting a master's, working for almost 10 years, but I still chose to quit because it wasn't serving my deen. It wasn't serving my family. It wasn't serving my time. The money was just not worth it. I knew I could make better money while being able to fulfill all of these areas. And as a woman, I'm sorry, people may not agree with me. As a woman, we cannot do all the things. A ball is going to drop. Some ball is going to drop.
Yeah.
Right. We may not have a choice. Like my sister, she's a doctor, alhamdulillah. She's a single mom. So she has to go to work. And yeah, she doesn't have a choice. And that is hard. Do you know what I mean? But when you do have a choice, take that choice. Do you know what I mean? Take that choice.
And especially if you grew up and you didn't get those choices. Like I have spoken to some mums recently, actually, because obviously you know that I started their course this morning. So I've spoken to some mums that actually didn't get any education. So when they were 15, 16, their parents were like, right, it's time to get married, off you go. You know, and then they're kind of stuck in this place where they feel like, okay, my kids have grown up now. What shall I do next? And they haven't really got any direction. But this kind of work can actually give you a bit of direction. It can give you a purpose to, like, you become passionate about it. And subhanallah, the Madiha's here today as well, but Adila and Salima, who were doing the stuff for me for the virtual assistants, they were making me laugh because they were like, oh, we're doing it all the time, you know, I'd rather do this than the cooking, I'd rather do this than, you know.
And you know what, I think sometimes we feel like our time is up. I swapped my career from IT to health and fitness when I was pregnant with my third at 33 years old. 33. It's never too late. We may not have control over how the cards or how Allah planned our life. Alhamdulillah, everything happens for a reason, sah. But we have more control than we think. We can make different choices, right? We can make them happen now.
Yeah, and I was almost 40, everyone. So it's nothing to do with the age, and it's just up to you, like what you want to do, what changes you want to make, and you'll find that you get into your groove. Like when, as the last 4 years have gone, the lifestyle at home has changed quite drastically, actually. Very different, in terms of like when I was working, and then I started homeschooling, and then COVID happened, and then I homeschooled all of them, and then I had to have like 6 months in England, and then I came back here. There was a lot going on in terms of like what's happening, but at the back of all of that, we continued working. You can continue doing what you're doing, because I'm not moving jobs. I'm not moving, like starting again at a new job for 6 months in England. Then I started again in a new job in Qatar or a new job in UAE. And that didn't happen. I managed to do the same work the whole time while all of these changes were happening. And the same with you, right? Like, because
I've been traveling the world. I've been in Africa for almost a year, right? The freedom of time is there. Alhamdulillah, my kids are homeschooled. I work from home. My husband's work is flexible, so it gives me the freedom of not having to travel over the summer holiday when it's crazy expensive. And I've got 4 children, mashallah. Okay, ticket prices can go up, like, you know what I mean, right? So when Jinan starts university, that's when I'm going to be tied down. Do you know what I mean? Because then she's at uni. But I took advantage of these early years. They came to Africa. They know their family in Africa. They know their family in England. They know their family in Dubai. So alhamdulillah, do you know what I mean? Because I homeschooled and because I worked online, I had the freedom of time. I'm not exchanging time for money anymore. Because when you're working a 9 to 5, you're literally exchanging your time for money.
Yeah. And
I'm not doing that anymore.
It's limited as well, right?
I'm not doing that anymore. Right now, I get to dictate how I want to spend my time. I get to dictate how much money I want to put an effort in to make. Allah decides on my risk. We all know that, right? But the amount of effort I put in, I get to choose that.
Yes, exactly.
I get to choose that.
When we have chosen that, and we've done that now, and we've gone like, okay, yeah, you know what, I'm going to make that change. I'm going to move on. I'm going to do what I'm doing. And then, like, on top of that, alhamdulillah, both of us, we serve Muslim moms, right? Like, we're like, I really feel like part of my intention to do this is to work with Muslim moms. And yes, if you're not Muslim, of course they can join on, and of course I'll help them, but I definitely don't help any dads. I've had people who've contacted me and said, can you do it for men as well? I'm like, no, sorry, I'm not doing that, right? So the thing is that we can, like you said, like, you can choose who you want to work with, choose who you serve, and at the ultimate end of it all, like, we're doing it for our deen, for Allah, right?
Yeah.
And and even like doing this for our kids so that we can show them a way, we can show them a way forward. We can say to them, right, yes, you can do this now, you can do that now, you can do that. And they're not seeing it just as a theory, they're seeing it as, hey, mom did that. Because that's important, isn't it, for them to see you do that, right? And not have to stress. Like my daughter right now, she's like, yeah, you're right, mom, I don't know why people do housework. That's my first thing, I'm gonna get someone to do housework for me, like they've got that in their mind. And the thing is, I'm not saying that everyone should have someone to do housework, because some people enjoy it. I actually find washing dishes, I don't. It's weird, I know, but maybe because I don't always have to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't. If I don't feel like doing it, I just chuck it in the dishwasher. But if I feel like it, I'll stand there and do it. And that's the difference, the choice that you have.
We have a choice. You have a choice.
You have a choice. When you want to make that difference, you can. So just your last thoughts. What do you think? It's been a fantastic live. I've really enjoyed it. And I hope that
I think for me, for my girls, my intention is this. Allah ya'lam, Allah is going to plan how our lives are going to play. We plan and he plans it even better. Sir. I've been in the corporate world and I've owned my own businesses. Now, my girls will get to decide what they want to do when they grow up in terms of work. But I want to do my best to teach them not to be scared to be business women. Right? I want them to grow up to have this mindset of being employers, because as women, especially Muslim women, right, our roles are not the same as men. They're just not. I'm sorry, they're not. at some point, if you want to have kids and you're going to be at home raising your kids and all of these things, and then what I've seen happen is a lot of women will have careers before having kids, and then when they have kids, they're stuck now because they can't go to work. Daycare gets too expensive and all of these things, right? So when you have other skills to actually, okay, I can't go to work anymore, but I can do this and this and this instead. It's just building your toolkit. That's all we're talking about. Build your toolkit, right?
Open that up. Yeah.
Open it up so that you have more than one way to achieve your goal. You want to be in the corporate world, great. What happens when you can't do that anymore? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thinking about these things becomes important.
It
So
really
for my
does.
girls, they can do whatever they want, but I also want to build their toolkit to say, hey, if you don't want to go this route, you can be perfectly fine with this route and open your own business and build their interests in that way, you know?
I think that's really important to know that first of all they have a choice.
They have a choice.
Then they have like a lot of other routes. And I mean, just very quickly, because I know we're already at the hour, mashallah, we do subhanallah talk a lot. But mashallah, wa alaikum salam, Sister S. And yeah, mashallah, I'm going to show that on there because that's really, that is the beauty of your mindset, mashallah, and what you've taught me as well, Yusra. But like going back to what sometimes the mums that come to us, like, you know, I have to live with my in-laws, I have to I can't move out, I can't, you know, I can't do this. Or on the other side, maybe the husband is unlivable with, you know, for whatever reason, whatever they've done, because we're on Facebook all the time, and sometimes we share each other, you know, we talk about stuff, what we've seen, right? And some of the stuff is actually shocking, but I feel like in the last probably 10-15 years it's got more and more shocking as time has gone on, like as to what I'm reading and what I'm finding out. And the mums that are coming to us are saying, we need you, we need your help, we need coaching from you, we want you to help us, but we can't afford to pay you. And this is really sad, because you actually can like give yourself that freedom to not just choose one of us to help you because we'll do it for free, but to choose someone that you can actually pay and get that help from. Because if you have your own business and you're working online, you're working offline, whatever you're doing, you don't have to work online. What we're trying to say is give yourself the option. Don't sit and at home and in the I'm in a couple of groups that are basically not like fully Muslim groups. So like one of them is a large family group. And in there, a lot of the women, the advice that they give them, like if you're not married to the man, you shouldn't be a stay-at-home mom, right? Which obviously most of us are married to the man. But when do we get married? Like we don't really know the guy before we get married to them, do we?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when we get married, we just maybe known them for like about maybe a year before we actually.
And like you never really know anyone, no matter how long you've known them, until you live with them. Like, exactly. Even if you've known him for 10 years, you don't know them until you live with them.
And then they find themselves stuck, and then they're wondering like, what am I stuck with? Like, why am I stuck here? And you're like, hey, you know what, I can help you get out of this, right? But it's just going to cost you a bit of time, energy, effort, and a bit of money. It will cost you money, of course it will, because whatever you pay for, you know, you're going to get something better in return. When I did coaching with Yusra, there's a huge difference in the amount of investment and what actually happened to my brain, right? Like when it changed, that effect is not affecting me. It affected my husband, my kids, my family, extended family, my friends. You were just talking about eating clean, and I ended up going into like a whole long thing at this dinner with a friend of mine, going like, listen, you can't say that, you know, blah. And I'm literally repeating what I've heard from Yusra in the WhatsApp group, because it's so important to understand the language that we're talking with, how we're talking to our kids, and what they're catching from us. And if you do want to work, if you do want to find that way out, if you do want to have those options, those, you know, like we were talking about a stress-free summer holiday, and one of the things is that we've got that freedom to do what we want. Just like Yusra said, if she's homeschooling, she can go on holiday whenever she wants. She can live in whichever country she feels like. Mashallah, she's had a whole year in Tanzania so far. And in terms of, being free to do whatever you need to do. So like I can literally say, okay, you know what, it's Friday, it's 2:00, let's all go out, wherever, and not have to.
We planned this conversation last night.
Yeah.
I was like, I can do it. I'll come on and we can have a chat. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And if we were working, that definitely wouldn't happen, right? Outside, I mean.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't happen.
I wanted to say, Sarah, before you move on, sorry to cut you off, but I think it's really important. Sometimes especially when we go to doctors and we have high blood pressure and all of these things, the first thing that they tell you is you need to stop stressing. And I hate that. I really hate that. Because you can absolutely not stop stressing. Stress is a part of life. As Muslims, we know Allah's going to test us in all the ways. The easy times are the rare ones. They are the exceptions. They're not the rule. The rule is Allah's going to test us. And there's studies that have been done, and I'm not going to go into detail with them because we're out of time. It's not about not stressing. Stress is going to be there, but it's about how do we respond to what is happening.
Yeah.
Something is happening. You don't have control. A kid gets sick, right? Traveling with 4 kids, moving countries is not easy. It is hard. It can be stressful. But how we respond to life, to those stresses, that's what makes a difference. You can have 2 people with the same stresses, but how they experience that stress is totally different, and it's going to be based on how they respond to it. So this idea that we shouldn't have any stress, do you know what I mean? Yeah, we're going to be stressed. Like, I'm pretty sure we're going to be stressed. But you and I have learned, even when the families come to visit, it's stressful. What am I going to cook for them? What is this? What about the cleaning? What's the sleeping arrangement? How much do I have to do? All of these things, right? They're stressful thoughts. But but what is it that's within my control? How to respond to them? That's key. And I think that's important as moms to really understand that. Stress is going to happen. We are moms. Our days are unpredictable. What's important is for us to build the skill to respond to that stress in a way that serves us and our families.
That's absolutely beautiful. And I don't think that I can top that. So I'm going to stop there. Because it is, life is stressful. It's normal. Right. And when I have spoken to some moms about it, and they've said, oh, I've got this going on and that going on and so on. And it's exactly what you said. Well, once you're earning and you're doing something different, you'll see that some of these stresses will go away because you'll find ways to deal with it. Like
manage them. Yes.
All the time, isn't it? You say this, that the time, the job expands to fill the time that you have.
Yeah.
So you have an hour to get ready for a live, like we just did. We did it in an hour. But if you don't have an hour and you only had half an hour, we would have done it. But if we had given ourselves 4 hours to get ready for this, we would have taken 4 hours to do it. Right. And that's exactly what the stress-free summer holiday is about, because I do need to bring it back to the title of the show. Right. But it's the whole point of the to have a stress-free holiday is to look at what you're doing and seeing what time you're spending on it and what is affecting you, what's affecting the kids, and what will make it easier for you to have less stress. Does that make sense? Yeah, you're still going to get stressed out. I'm not going to say you're not getting stressed out. We're talking about like planning things in a way that it doesn't stress you out in terms of.
It's like, here's the thing. The stresses are going to happen, but you may not feel stressed, right? There's a difference there.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? Stressful situations are going to happen where they would stress somebody else out, but you will not feel stressed because you know how to respond to it, right?
Right. Because, for example, you could book a holiday and you get to the airport and actually your flight's left, right? And that is a stressful situation, which actually did happen, and it was stressful, but it wasn't stressful because we were able to deal with it, right? If whatever it is, it's figure outable. Again, I've learned that from you.
That's it, yeah.
You figure it out and you just move on. And the 2 people involved in that situation One got super stressed, one was chilled, right? Who had the better time? Trust me, right? And I won't tell you who the person is, but I'm sure you can guess. Yeah. Right. And the thing is, these situations have happened. Like, it's not like a pie in the sky. Like, it might happen, it might not happen, or whatever. We're talking about actual situations that have happened that could have stressed someone out. And I think that if I wasn't earning my own income, it would have been even more stressful. But because I was able to sort it out by myself, I just told you it was anyway, it doesn't matter. But the point is that I was able to sort it out with my own, with my own cash flow. It helped the situation in terms of reducing the stress for myself, right? And that's what we're trying to do. Like, we're trying to reduce that for you. So how could you have a lovely day today? Plan what you're going to do, plan where you're going to go, plan what's going to happen. But if things don't go to plan, don't worry about it. It's fine. You went to the cinema, but the cinema's not showing the movie that you wanted to see. So you turn around and take the kids to the park. You'll still have a wonderful time.
Yeah, just that idea of being flexible. Do you know what I mean? Going with the flow, right?
Exactly. We said it together. See, that's because we're in the same mindset. Alhamdulillah. Wavelength. I mean, not mindset. Wait, have you paused? What's happened?
Yeah,
Wavelength.
Come back.
Yeah. So in terms of like feeling like, oh, I've got to entertain the kids, let them be bored, right? Let them be bored. Figure out something to play with. Give them little jobs to do that are random, that you don't really need doing, but it will keep them busy. If you are worried about makeup, see what you're modeling for them and try to get them to do, like, try to educate them on whether it's good or not, or whatever you want them to do. Like with this one, I think it's a little bit hard because it is very opinionated, but we're trying to say in a very gentle way, explain to the girls, if you go out with it, then they'll want to wear it as well. But if you don't, then you've got that option to talk about it with them. In terms of homeschooling, outsource as much as you can so that you focus on the things that you enjoy. In terms of Yusra, she's saying that she doesn't have that patience. That's fine. For Yusra, she would prefer to get teachers. If you prefer to teach them by yourself and outsource something else, that's absolutely fine, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just what works for you. This is the key. What works for you?
Exactly. And in terms of the routine, look at your daily timetable. And we actually did a book club. We do a book club on Fridays every month now, inshallah. We're going to be doing it on the last Friday of the month. And the last book that we read, it was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And one of the exercises is actually looking into what do you do in a week, right? And writing down times of how long you spend on things, what you're doing, what are you wasting your time on? And then the next week, finding those times that you thought you were free to fill them in with exercise, because he's like a body and mindset and all of that.
I know what I waste my time on.
Yeah, exactly.
We do, all of us do that on social media, just going, before you know it, an hour has passed, right?
Yeah, and then you're literally like, you throw the phone because you're like, oh my God, it's been an hour. I know. This is the thing with what he was saying, like, just see where you're spending the time in week 1. In week 2, try to substitute this wasting time for something useful. And in week 3, you just hone that thing. By week 4, 5, and 6, you'll be like, oh, I'm like, this is amazing. I've got time to go for a bike ride. I've got time to go for a run. I've got time to do training or whatever. I know that Yusra teaches it in a slightly different way, but the whole point of this is to reduce that stress. And for me, and again because we're into that health and fitness and that kind of journey, inshallah, it's because that when you do the exercise, it does release those happy endorphins, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it comes like all of these things. When we're talking about this, Sarah, what we're talking about, we're talking about habits. Just changing your habits. It literally starts with changing your habits, no matter what area of life it is, whether in parenting, whether in health, whether in running a business. Humans are creatures of habits. If the habits that you have right now aren't serving you, you can't want to change things from the top. You need to go from the bottom, and that is your habits. Your habits are going to dictate how you spend your day, the thoughts you're going to have, the emotions you're going to feel. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And we can get used to fixing those thoughts and changing them and grabbing them and holding them and saying, hey, thought, get out of here. And I'm going to start again, inshallah. So it's been absolutely wonderful having you here, Yusra. It's been amazing having you here, and it's been amazing seeing you sisters again. We haven't had a lot of comments, but you are welcome to write comments after you watch the video, hashtag replay, put the comments in, let us know what you need help with. Check the description box, because although my new VA course has already started, I will start another one in November, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for coming. Let us know if you have any questions. If you do have any, super quick before we go, please pop them in. We did go through the questions that were given in the YouTube, Your Parenting Tribe WhatsApp group. And if you want to join the WhatsApp group, again, the link is in the comments, so you can join the WhatsApp group and join in the conversation and hear from us all the time, inshallah. So it's been wonderful to have you all on. Jazakallah khair. Yusra, do you want to finish off before we go?
Yeah, just one last thing. I wanted to say, look, one of the reasons Sarah and I wanted to have this as a conversations that we're having is because we all have different lifestyles. We all have certain ways that we like to do things, all have different experiences, different upbringing, different so many things. The key is to not tell you what to do, but to empower you to say, look, you can figure out ways to do things in a way that is serving you. Do you know what I mean? What we have shared here isn't the only way to do it, because some people may watch this and may think, yeah, that works for you, but it's not going to work for me. Great, it may not work for you, but find out what's going to work for you and your family, and how you want to bring up your children, how you want to experience life, what kind of business you want to have, how you want to run your business, where you want to run your business, what kind of business you want to run, all of these things. So this conversation is just to give you an insight into our personal lives and what has worked for us, as families and stuff, and what we are offering in terms of coaching and programs and stuff like that, so that you can know that there are options out there, right? But it really starts from you, on what you want and the changes that you're willing to make, because that's key, right?
Definitely. Jazakallah khair. Again, thank you so much for coming today, Coach Yusra. I'm so glad that I caught you, and I'm so glad that we were both free. And please let us know, sisters, if a Friday is a better day for you guys, because it's definitely better for me. So I'm hoping that I could change the day to Fridays instead of Thursdays for Thursday Thoughts. I don't know what we're going to call it, though. You'll have to give us some Friday Thoughts. No. It'll have to be something like Friday Thinkings. Or Friday Thoughts. I'm bringing my Cockney into there. So it's wonderful seeing you all, and inshallah, please do keep in touch with us. Let us know what you think, and just join us in the WhatsApp group. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.